Happy Friday! Welcome to ScreenJunkies Universe. It's a good day today, Dan.
It is.
Yeah, it's Friday.
Yes,
Friday's
it is
a great
Friday.
Day. Friday's a great day. It means it's the weekend and we're about to have fun. Spencer Gilbert is here.
Every Friday is a gift. TGIF.
Every day with a bunch of you is a gift. Roxy Striar's here.
At least it's a day.
It's a day. It sure is. We have some fan questions to get through, some great fan questions to get through, and actually one that connects to a sad bit of news today. Iconic novelist turned screenwriter William Goldman passed away from complications due to colon cancer and pneumonia. If you guys don't know his work, you should really check it out because you do love it. He wrote the 1973 fantasy novel The Princess Bride, which obviously was then later adapted to a screenplay for the 1987 film that we all love so much, and then is now being adapted again kind of into the PG-13 Deadpool, or at least used as a kind of a device, a framing device around Deadpool. He also wrote, he also wrote the book Adventures in the Screen Trade, which I was curious if you, Spencer, had read. No? I haven't read that one. He also wrote All the President's Men. He won Academy Awards for that, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Those are good movies.
Yeah, great movies. Misery. This is truly one of the legends of Hollywood. And he talked about in his book, his final conclusion was basically no one in Hollywood knows anything. And famously, and that people are just kind of scrambling around. You never really know what's going to work. And I think that's true. We've talked about that a little bit, about how a film works or not. It's sort of, there's an alchemy to it. You can have all the right ingredients and it doesn't work. You can have a disastrous on-set experience and it does work. Ghostbusters is an example of that. I don't know if it was a disastrous on-set experience, but they were certainly changing the script and things like that. Oh, good.
We're in the dark again.
We're in the dark again, but we're still here. We're going to keep talking. But this leads into one of our fan questions, which was, what movie do you quote most in daily life? And Princess Bride is certainly one that comes up for folks. So I want to talk a little bit about Goldman's career and some of those films, but also tie that into that idea of quotable films and what makes a film quotable.
I'm not a guy that I'm not the quote guy generally. Like, I'm not the guy that throws out the quotes from movies. It's more just things in my head that I think of, and they're not generally the most quotable lines in film. It's just weird inflections or just whatever. But I do think that if you look at who's written more quotable lines, it's hard to think of. I mean, William Goldman particularly. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid has like 5 of them. Princess Bride has 10 more. It's crazy when you find somebody like Goldman who just has that ear. And can write the dialogue that just sticks with it and is just perfect for the situation and perfect for the scene. And you don't see a lot of writers like that anymore, who are just really I think movie writers kind of get thrown into a bin aside from real writers by a lot of people, and that's not really fair. And William Goldman was one of those people that shows that like he was just a writer, and his form was often movies, but he was just a great writer.
Yeah. Agreed. Spencer, how about you? I mean, you're kind of the writer amongst us.
Yeah, so I was just... For me, it's Step Brothers.
Is it?
It's things like I got a belly full of white...
Yeah,
do just become best friends.
Yep.
This is a house of learned doctors. I got a belly full of white dog crap. I don't need your shit right now. That kind of thing.
That was my quote from this morning.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess Adam McKay's probably written the most quotable lines for me throughout his career. He did like Anchorman, right? And he did Step Brothers, and so it's probably a combination of him and Will Ferrell, just because they come up the most in daily life. Like, I'm not going to say, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, like on a daily basis, but...
I wish you would.
Yeah.
And now I challenge you to work that into every show over the next week.
But
that actually is like kind of a motto of yours, though.
But not the way he does it. I'm not that classy. I don't have a weird mustache. So... Yeah, I think it's mostly comedy, and for me, frankly, mostly television. Like, I think there was probably Seinfeld and just like a 10-year block of time where I didn't say anything that wasn't from The Simpsons. So I grew out of it, but it was there.
Well, you look like a Simpson.
Yeah,
Some people in the comments have said Futurama.
I get that a lot, yeah. I do get Fry.
Roxy.
I think that it just depends on what your favorite stuff is. Like, I think Star Wars is super quotable, and people, even if it's not the exact quotes, like the way that Yoda speaks, people use that all of the time. For me, Good Will Hunting being my favorite movie, I'm constantly quoting it. So, how do you like them apples is like something I say once a week at
But then
least.
do you turn it into the Kevin Smith? Like, do you do the applesauce? Biatch?
You have to always take it a step further. And yeah, Step Brothers for me, too. It's a huge quotable one, so that's why Spenny G and I get along.
Yeah.
Best friends.
Lion face. Lemon face.
That's one of the best bits in any comedy movie.
It is.
It really is.
Hunting
100%.
season.
Hunting
It's one
season.
of my favorite things.
I probably quote, honestly, I think I quote Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back a lot.
Okay.
Now that I'm thinking
I think
about
quotability and overall quality, or at least prestige, have little to nothing to do
with each other.
Yeah, like Troll 2. Like, oh my god!
Oh my God. Yeah, honestly, I probably quote The Room more than any other movie, but that doesn't mean it's good. It's a terrible movie. I just like to say, what a story, It's just fun.
But then there are those quotes that that other people don't necessarily, the inside quotes, like my partner and I will do Orange Whip, 3 Orange Whips, quite a bit from the Blues Brothers, but nobody else would really know what that meant besides Dan.
Yeah, I like that one. Orange Whip, Orange Whip, Orange Whip.
3 Orange Whips.
Yeah.
No, yeah. All right. Or Carpe Diem, Mean Girls.
Yeah, Mean Girls very quotable.
Or has that fallen?
I think people are nostalgic for Mean Girls. Like
still
we're nostalgic
fetch.
for Clueless. Like
Yeah.
it reminds them of their youth before their current youth.
Utes.
Yeah.
What would are you like a Clueless or a Mean Girls?
Mean
Rock?
Girls.
Yeah.
I love Clueless, so both.
I'm a Clueless. I didn't see Mean Girls till literally this year.
And what did you
Nice.
think?
Yeah,
It's good, right? Yeah.
It's great.
it's good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. All right, Monty
You're a pusher.
Python, Caddyshack, things like this are some of the things that came up as the most quotable from others out there. Caddyshack is a weird one, I think, because I think you really have to know the movie.
What's a Caddyshack quote?
I mean, and that's a really good point because the one that pops into my mind initially is
Hey everybody, we're all getting laid.
Yeah, okay.
the one that pops into my mind, weirdly enough, is so I said, "Hey, Llama."
Oh yeah.
How
and-
about a little something for the effort? But
For
that's
me,
like
it's
so
like
deep
it's
in the movie.
Chevy Chase putting and going like,
No, 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 no. Be the ball, be the ball, be the ball, be the ball, be the ball. That's another one that comes up.
See, I'm a Ted Knight. Everyone in that movie's funny, but I think Ted Knight in that movie's hilarious. So I'm always just like, "You're on!" Like I just think of like him, like you'll get nothing and like it. That's what I say a lot. You'll get nothing and like it. I love that.
Who are you saying that to?
I don't know, just in general. It's just like some of this like we're talking
Cashiers.
about talking about lunch. Like,
Homeless
what do you want for
people.
lunch? Like, I want to
Wait,
I
stop.
want to get pizza. Like, I want to get a hamburger. You'll get nothing and like it. I just think it's funny. I like that line. I like that movie.
it works.
Hopefully people know what you're talking about.
You're
Otherwise-
probably right, though, that now television is more quotable and more frequently quoted than movies in certain ways.
Yeah, especially because it allows quotes to be repeated. People can have catchphrases that come up again and again, and it kind of drills its way into your brain more so than like you watch a movie once.
Yeah, that's true. And that's going to bring us to Jarek's question. Actually, Spenny, that was a good segue. We need a segue graphic for you, but we don't have one. If you could only watch movies or television shows for the rest of your life, which one would you choose? Roxy Striar, I
It
think
is
I know
such
what
a
you're going to
no-brainer.
say.
Yeah, a TV, only TV, always TV. No, it's not even close. Not even close. TV. You get to connect with characters in such a different way. It changes my life in such a different way. Movies I love, but TV is my life.
Can I still read books?
I don't think it's in there.
We
No.
haven't said so.
Okay.
I think the jury decides. What do you vote, Roxy?
Yeah, I think you can read
you can
books.
read
You can read
Okay,
books.
because I think what I love about movies is they used to, a complete story. Is that there is a beginning and a middle and an end, and there's like a core idea, and like I feel like that itch for me can also be scratched by novels, so I'll go with TV.
Okay, Dan, Murrell.
I'm the opposite of Roxy. Surprise. For me, it's easily movies, only because my experience with TV is like, for every TV show that is worth all the time and effort and energy and dedication that you put into it, that goes into it and tells a full story and nails it, There are two that fall off, meander, just kind of fade into obscurity. And for me, the hit-miss ratio is way better for movies as far as I actually connect to characters really well throughout a shorter form story, unless it's a really masterfully done TV show, of which there are.
I would like to switch
Only
my
a
answer
handful.
back to movies. I've thought about it more.
Okay.
Yes. There's just more visual variety and more creative variety inside of movies than there is in television, even though that's changing. And there are prestige and big budget TV shows that can pull that off. But maybe I think movies do give you a tunnel into a different universe more so than TV can.
Have you guys seen Homecoming on Amazon yet?
No. The Julia Roberts?
The Julia Roberts
No.
one? I need you to watch it, Spencer, especially Spencer. There was a reason, but since we haven't seen it, I can't get into that. But Dan, I'll leave that a mystery for today. Not unlike Homecoming. It's a mystery show.
Oh, okay.
But it's also got a very cool aesthetic. That's what I was thinking. So please continue. Movies.
I don't have much. It's really just a personal preference thing. I love the complete variety of anything that can be done. You can make one for $2 million or $200 million, and sometimes the $2 million one is 100 times better than the $200 million one. I don't know. I just like the form. I like the art form. I like the craft of it. I like everything about it. That's why I do what I do.
I think I'd have to go with movies too, because certainly they've been around longer than television. So there's plenty to mine from. There's plenty to mine from now in television. Over the last 7 years, we have 400 hours every season, and this is a golden age of television. We have some incredible dramas. We have some very well-told stories that are shorter stories now that happen in 5 hours. I mean, they're shortish for television, 5 hours and so forth like that. That said, I think because that kind of premium television experience has only really been in the last 10, 15 years, roughly. There's some great classic television shows. You just have more to mine from further back. I mean, you can almost endlessly watch movies from around the world and not run out.
Yeah.
And I'm also generally, I want to get better about this, but I'll be honest, I'm generally more inclined to watch a movie from a different country than a full series and sort of commit to subtitles for 10 plus hours of a series. I don't know why that is. It feels arduous. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm broken and need to be fixed.
Sub's not done.
I don't know.
I'm putting it all on you, Dan.
I pass.
That's for you to puzzle out.
This one is one that is a bit topical. Larry wants to know, what's your favorite Harry Potter movie? Spencer, you start, Potterhead.
I mean, it's Azkaban, right?
Yeah,
It's the most
Azkaban.
visually interesting. It's when it grew up, quote unquote, gets great performances. I think it's the best one, and it's not particularly close. Maybe the last one, Deathly Hallows Part 2, just because it's the culmination. But I feel like that, like the third one, is it's a great standalone film and part of an overarching story.
Azkaban's my favorite too, but Alfonso Cuarón is also one of my favorite directors.
I've always liked Azkaban, but my favorite is actually Goblet of Fire. That was the one for me that I thought brought everything. That was I thought that 1 and 2 were good adaptations of the books, but there were times when particularly the second one, where it just felt very rote. And then 3 I thought was them figuring out, oh, look at these cool things we can do with these stories, and sort of making it into the franchise. And then 4 for me was the one where I was just yeah, okay.
I mean, the ending of 4 is incredible.
Yeah.
I think that's most people's favorite book as well, so maybe that's why that translates.
Maybe so.
4 is my favorite book.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if I had read. I guess I probably had read the book by the time the movie came out, but even so, I always sort of judge the movies on their own, and I always really like Goblet of Fire. I don't know, I really like that movie a lot.
It's a really fun one. I think I went into nerd mode on Goblet of Fire, where I felt like it was missing so much of the depth that was in that book, just because there wasn't time for it in the movie. But it's a really fun movie, and the end is great. Roxy, how about you?
Yeah, I think the third one's my favorite, but there is a push for the fourth one that I understand as story-wise, but I like the third one better.
I'm
go ahead.
I'm also a big fan of Order of the Phoenix, which not a lot of people talk about. I like that movie quite a bit. And then I think Half-Blood Prince is sort of a piece of connective tissue. It's got some very good parts, but it's really
That's what gets
we gotta
real
get to 7 and 8.
depressing.
Yeah, exactly.
When Umbridge
Oh,
is
boy.
taken over, and it's just like it's kind of a dark slog.
Yeah.
But not without its charm.
Yeah, it does get much. I mean, the series gets much darker.
Yeah.
The moment, like, it's weird. From the final two movies, oddly enough, there's kind of like moments I remember, and the one that jumps out to me the most is just a tiny little moment. It's when Harry and Hermione are dancing in the tent, because there's just something so sad and melancholy about it, and you really get that they're adults now that understand loss. Anyway, Harry Potter. It's coming out. Fantastic Beasts is coming out this weekend.
Still depressing.
Ugh.
We'll discuss.
Roxy, what's your 2-sentence review?
Oh, you saw it too?
Oh wow! If Roxy and I agree on a movie not being great, then that's
It just was very mediocre.
I will say it's not without its charms, but also, ooh.
Yeah.
That's my noise review.
We're going to go into a little bit of a deeper review for coming out this weekend. We'll also talk about some of the lore and things like that. Okay. Oh, May asks, this is an interesting question. I was wondering, when you spend so much time at work talking and reviewing and parodizing movies and TV, how does that affect watching on your own free time? I guess I'm asking if it's possible to separate business and pleasure. That's a great question. Dan, what do you think?
great for me. Yes. Again, I do this because I love movies and television. So I even find a lot of people ask if doing honest trailers ruins going to the movies for me. It's like, are you doing the honest trailer in your head? And it's like, I always say, like, well, if the movie's good, then no, I'm not. That's when I know that I'm not enjoying a movie, is when I click into honest trailer mode and start counting things and figuring stuff out. But for me, it's a very clear division, and there's certain things that we're never going to make an honest trailer for the Great British Bake Off. But I get to go at home and watch that at night. Or,
We could whip one out.
there's movies that I know will never make honest trailers of that I just love to go see because they're great movies. So yeah, I would do it 24/7.
Yeah.
Like I love it. It's what my passion is, and very rarely do the two intersect in a way that makes it not fun.
Yeah,
How about
totally.
you?
I mean, I don't think that it affects like the dividing line between business and pleasure for watching movies and television, but I think it has changed what I enjoy, because we see every single wide release blockbuster franchise Hollywood movie, and when you see every single one of them multiple times, it just feels samey. It just kind of blends together, and you start to really enjoy things that break the mold. Like my taste, it's like a drug addict. Like you're like, okay, I need something different or stronger or weirder to get that same fix. So I think it's broadened my horizons, because you seek out classic film, you seek out foreign film, you seek out weird alt comedy TV shows and stuff like that, which gets you out of that mode. Because when I watch part 9 of a 11-part comic book movie, it's like I'm working on the honest trailer. It's like, I see how this works. I see the connective tissue behind it.
And you're also writing the honest trailer a little, so it does impact it a little bit.
You could say writing the honest trailer, or just like what I'm thinking when I'm bored in a movie. And an honest trailer has made me bored during certain movies more than others.
That's interesting. Roxy, how about you?
I think it really affects me. And I love it too, I think just as much as everybody at this table. But for a living, I have to watch about 14 hours of TV a week. And so it makes it, and it's selected TV, so it makes it very hard to watch what I want to watch. Because if I'm not getting paid to cover something, it has to go to the bottom of the list. And I love television, and there are things I want to watch that are not big enough, so people won't pay me to cover them. So that makes things challenging.
What are some of the shows you'd like to be watching, but you find you can't?
It's like things on Netflix that like Haunting at Hill House.
Yeah.
I have been dying to binge that show, but I have to watch every single DC TV show every week, which is about 8 hours of content right now, and that's before Gotham comes back and whatnot. Or like, starting to have to binge Gifted, which is something that I don't particularly want to do, but I'm going to do it because it's my job, So things like that, where I'm just kind of like, oh, wow, there's things that people are popping up that are just getting buzz that I want to focus on, but if it's not my job, I have to put it at the bottom.
Yeah, I think I understand that because I used to cover television sort of the way that you do, where I had to watch things. And it was true. You then have to watch certain things that you don't want to. And the things that you may enjoy fall to the bottom of the list. So it affected me that now television's, it's kind of my reprieve because we don't really cover television all that often. But I will say that if it's something there, it does really affect me in the sense that I have a really good friend. I love her. I adore her. She has a completely different job than this. We talk most days on the commute to and from work. And when Game of Thrones comes on, she will want to talk about it because of course she does, because everybody wants to talk about it. And I put a 20-minute cap on how long we can discuss Game of Thrones because I spend so much time during the work week talking about Game of Thrones. I just don't want to get into a big thing about it because it makes me feel like I'm working in it. So my body will have a stress response and like I'll tense up and I feel like I have to be on or really accurate or whatever it is. And I can't just have a conversation. Or anytime the Last Jedi came up in a bar the other day with some friends and I had to, Dan, thank you. I had to remove myself. Yeah. Not because like I get it. This is fun for you. This is just like enjoyable. It's like the normal water cooler banter, but I can't have this conversation.
They can call me. It's still fun for me.
That's what I do. That is actually what I do miss. That's what has impacted it is a movie like The Last Jedi, which has had an impossibly long tail, is I do kind of miss being able to, for a movie like that to come out, and then I do go to the bar with my friends, and we talk about it one night, and then that's it.
Yeah, then it's done.
I never have to talk about it again. I liked it. I didn't like parts of it, and let's compare the parts I liked and I didn't like one night, and then that's it. I never have to. That's it. Yeah. That's all. That's the only impact The Last Jedi has on my life. Instead of almost now a year of seemingly it's like the Springfield tire fire. It just never goes out.
Yes.
That is the one impact that it has in the sense of like there are some topics that I'm just like I'm so sick of talking about this and I don't want to talk about it anymore. But people want to keep talking about it, so.
Yeah.
I guess we will.
Do you guys have friends that are not in the industry and when you talk about movies or TV, they think that you're douchey because of the things that you're bringing up? Like, this will happen to me because I have fully fledged like arguments and points and about the cinematography, the director, the previous work they've done, the score, whatever, and they'll just be like, but I liked it. And I'll be like, but here's why I didn't feel like it stacked up. And they're like, can you just have a conversation? I'm like, well, this is how I have a conversation. They think it's really like they don't like talking about it with me because of that. That doesn't happen to you guys ever?
I have different groups of friends, one of which would give me shit for that, and another which would be like, oh, you're talking about that movie? Like, okay. you don't know the second AD on it? So
yeah,
like,
yeah. I think
exactly.
I think it depends. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just really the time. Like, it's also the manner with which the conversation is happening because for The Last Jedi, and forgive me, Dan, I know these are, I know it's painful, but to your point, Spencer, I actually think there's fascinatingly layers to talk about with that movie, like, and why people responded to it the way they did and what Ryan was doing. And if that was the conversation, I would be into it. But it was a rant. And it was just a rant and I couldn't do it. And I can't do someone's like ranty hot take at a bar, about whatever. Because I'm like, I do this for a living. And it makes me feel like I'm working. Or even there were a couple of times where if someone's like, what did you think of X movie? And I'll be like, I'll send you the link.
Oh, wow. Wow. Get in line with all the other plebes.
No, that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean at all.
So you've already hashed it out and you don't want to repeat yourself.
Thank you.
Like, here's the, I totally get it.
Thank you. It's not like you're not good enough for me to have this conversation with. I'm tired and I'm having a beer.
And I've had it 70 times.
And I'm exhausted and like I can't do this. So I guess what I'm saying is it sounds like I'm the one most impacted by doing it for
I'm also severely impacted.
You are.
But I love it.
There are times when I can't turn it off.
I think we're the real heroes.
That is what I'm trying to say.
I think what I'm trying to say is like we should probably be rewarded.
I have seen friends' eyes glaze over because they'll say something just like, hey, do you think Fantastic Beasts is going to do well? And I'll be like, well, it's tracking to open just below what it did domestically. But if you look internationally, they're saying it's going to open at 250, which is higher than the first one. But actually, if you look, China was not included in the release of the first movie. But in this one, China is included. So the $250 million figure is actually going to be about equivalent to just the glaze over the eye. I am so sorry.
Yes.
I apologize. I was not. I did not pick my moment correctly. That was not the correct form.
Me
for
too.
that.
I think I've had the same experience as you guys, and you're right that I do not mean at all like I can't engage in this conversation. It's more just, I don't know. I love what I do. I feel so passionate about this. We've all done a lot of dumb things in our life in order to be able to do this for a living, probably, and made irrational choices to be able to do this. My job, for whatever reason, I stress it. I also feel a level of like performance anxiety and stress around it. And so if somebody is asking me to do something that feels like work, it stresses me out because then I feel like I'm either going to perform well or not in this task. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
But I realize that I am abnormal and weird. And
I don't think so. I think we all just confirmed that that's happens.
Yeah.
We all feel it.
I thought that was a really interesting question because thank you for even asking that, because it's the same thing. My boyfriend has a job that he loves and adores, and he's really, really good at. He's a practical effects makeup artist. But the last thing I would ever ask him to do off work is like make me look like a gelfing, which I only made the mistake of asking one time. Because of course he doesn't want to work.
Dentists don't go home and then want to work on people's teeth.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I don't know though. Hairdressers, they do all their friends' hair.
Do they?
Yeah. I don't think they like it.
I don't think they like it.
But they don't want to, right?
Yeah.
It's like owning a truck. People are going to ask you to help them move.
Yes.
That comes with owning a truck.
You did it to yourself.
Yeah, you kind of did with the truck, Caleb. But makeup artists too, I guess probably their
All
friends
the
are
time.
always asking
And I
them.
hit up my makeup artist friends all the time. That
love it.
person.
That brings us into our final question, which is about the other aspects of the industry. But having said all of that, we thank you guys for tuning into us because we couldn't do what we love to do without you. And it's legitimately an amazing gift in life to be able to talk about what you love for a living. It's pretty amazing.
I can't believe we're still here.
Good for us.
Literally.
Frankly, neither can I.
I mean, honestly, Roxy.
They haven't locked us out yet.
Yeah.
I know. The lights are flickering a little too often.
We've had some questions, and that's the other thing is like you don't want to take it for granted, right?
Right.
You never want to take for granted that you get to do something really, really special.
Yeah.
With your life.
The way these bricks are set up,
But we're definitely falling apart.
I keep waiting for a banker to bust through that wall like the Kool-Aid man.
It took me 20 minutes to get in the door. Roth had to come find me.
Because Billy's not here. Anyway, that's way too much information. Welcome to Behind the Curtain at ScreenJunkies News, because normally we're so lacking in transparency. Stephen H. asks, should stunts, performers, and choreographers be recognized by film awards? Personally, I think it's weird and kind of insulting to stunt crews that there are awards for things like makeup, costume, lighting, and other technical achievements, but not stunts. Thoughts? Agree.
Yeah, me too. I never really thought about it that much, which makes me not a great person, but totally. What they do is very hard, and I could never do it. So there should be an award.
Yeah, the only argument I've heard against this is a very patronizing one that I don't agree with, which is like that will make them take chances that they wouldn't otherwise to win the Academy Award. And it's like...
That's a weird...
that's not a motivating
You mean
factor.
like dangerous things?
Yeah, like they'll push it to be if there's an award at stake. And it's like, no,
Isn't that what actors
they're
do too?
professionals. It's different, you know. Well, to play, a larger or smaller person is not the same as like, jumping off of something without a net. They're professionals; they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Why not recognize their work?
I agree. I think they're incredible professionals, and they should 100% be given more recognition. The only argument that I could see against it, and I don't think it's a valid one to say that stunt crews shouldn't be, but is then when you open that door and I mean, you'd have to figure out a way, but it's like where, if stunt crews are let in, then I think like, well, then why shouldn't this particular part of the team be recognized? Why shouldn't
As soon
this
as the
particular
Teamster Award?
the
Best craft services.
the crafty awards.
That does deserve an award.
But I think that's a discussion that'll be had sort of behind the scenes. I think that stunt performers, it is an invisible part of many movies if it's done right, which I think is it's a sad thing. The better they do their job, the less you notice them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that might be very hard for people to award, because to the Academy, who knows if they're able to distinguish which stunt crews are the best.
It's like visual effects usually, and like a lot of times when we do our live streams or watch-alongs every year, it's like a lot of times visual effects and costume design, it's not best, it's most.
It's most.
Most visual effects, most costume design, and so.
Or it goes to a prestige film.
A prestige movie,
Yeah.
who did something set in the 18th century. And a lot of times the hard work, if you look at VFX breakdowns, there's one, my favorite ever was for this HBO John Adams miniseries, and they did a VFX breakdown. And it's incredible because all of these shots that you took for granted because you're in the reality of the show, like, oh, this is 18th century New England. You realize that was all built and it's invisible. But I think the side of that is that it might not get recognized because people don't recognize that good. So, but stunts, I think, is one thing that is really, really vital and so kind of under recognized.
Would they be annoyed if and when Tom Cruise wins it every year? Because that's like the most recognizable one. Oh my God, Tom Cruise
How
did
did
that.
Tom Cruise almost die this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting. That's actually kind of an interesting take. But
He's kind of deserving for some of them, though. It's not like that. It would
Not like
be.
it- yeah.
It's not like if he was nominated, I'd be like, "That's stupid." Like, he does crazy stunts.
that's true. I mean, he does them in. That's true. He is a maniac, and how do they keep ensuring that? That's got to
'cause
be
he's the
so
producer.
expensive.
I
Yeah, because he's the producer, and it probably adds like $50 million to the budget of the film. I'm still team Jackass should have won for makeup that year over Dallas
Grandpa?
Buyers for Bad Grandpa because, and this is something I have learned, older person makeup is one of the hardest makeups to pull off, and he had to do it and convince people in person that it was real. And that was really, really impressive work. And I think you're right, Dan. A lot of times it's just either a prestige film like Dallas Buyers Club, which the weight loss did a lot of the work for the makeup crew in that, or flashy makeups, like in a big film that it feels like it's effects where it's like, well, I can see that there's lots of effects in that. But maybe when you can't see it is when it should be rewarded.
I agree. I think that, it's just
Especially
how it
with
goes.
stunt. Yeah.
It's the same thing with acting too. A lot of times the most acting wins.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
if there's a performer that should have won an Oscar that does a lot of acting in a particular role, like Al Pacino.
Oh yeah.
Son of a Woman was not his best performance. It was his most performance, and that's why he won. But it was not anywhere close to his best.
It was one of his
Loudest,
most performances,
most
but yeah,
tears.
it was a big most performance from him. And then, or like the Lot of Crying year, or the year I played a nun, or whatever.
Weight gain, weight loss.
Yeah.
I felt like Denzel Washington should have won Best Actor for The Hurricane because he was brilliant in that movie, and the Academy just had to wait 2 years until he gave a most performance in Training Day, and they were like, there it is. And then that's the Oscar one.
It's the same thing for director too, though. It's a lot of times people are hone in on what feels like the most directing in a movie, whether it's really flashy or like look at all the IMAX shots and things like that. And films that are more subtly and directed and refined, they just go by the wayside. So it's a damn tragedy and a shame. But also, my final thought on awards, and Roxy, I don't think I've ever heard you weigh in on this. I think it's great, and we should honor people's work. And certainly the more below the line, the more they kind of need it, because they're the ones on set from 6 a.m. till, like, they are the actual heroes. We're so lazy. Like, they're from 6 in the morning for 18-hour days. It's like really brutal work. But that said, anyone in Hollywood to some degree that's working in the industry has already won the game of life. If you are able to make your living doing what you love and feel passionately about, no, it's not perfect. Yes, it can be hard for sure, but you're already winning. And then the more celebrated you are, meaning the actors and so forth like that, you're winning. You are living such an extraordinary life already that part of me thinks that awards in this industry are so weird. I don't know.
It is.
Maybe that's cynical.
No, I think it's really weird. The concept of it is very strange. I mean, the fact that like people put in hundreds of millions of dollars so that they can hold the statue, like that is a very weird thing. But I like them.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, they're a good time. Yeah, I
Give
like
us something
watching
to talk
them.
about.
Gives us something to talk about. They're fun to watch, but
Wine, awards, gives us something to do here.
but at the same time, like there's so many people in the world doing such amazing work, and it's like that's pretty naive and Pollyanna to say, but it's like I would love if the Academy Award was like, for these 5 extra minutes that we usually waste doing something dumb that no one cares about, here's one teacher, and here's like a construction worker and a garbage man and someone that runs a foundation for clean water.
Yeah.
Judge me, it's fine.
I'm sure there are awards. It's just not the big televised gala that the Oscars.
We got to get the Nobel
But
Prize.
imagine if they put a spotlight on just a real world hero every Academy Awards or every Emmys.
Okay, yeah, if you could sneak it in. But I mean, look, it's like at the risk of like a tautology, it's like people like to watch entertainers. Like that's why we can do this and why we can put on shows.
You
and
get
people
somebody
actually
charismatic, like you'd pick. I mean, a teacher can perform and
teach a lesson.
No, get up
TV.
there. It's like
phonics.
Maybe they would have some stage fright, but like. They would get up there and say something wonderful.
Or maybe it could be tied in, like it could be one of the attendees honoring a teacher that had a big impact on them, or some bit like a foundation that they're really involved in, that they bring out the person that found whatever. I don't know.
We could do the award for best popcorn movie.
Okay.
Drunkest person that year.
This is probably Pollyanna and silly. These are my thoughts, and that's why I'm not running the Academy, among so many other reasons of lack of skill and ability and background. All right, that's our show for today. This weekend, yesterday we had movie fights. It was a fun one. Mr. Joe Starr fought Ed Greer, Vanessa Gritton. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Dan, we were at a movie.
I wasn't there, but I wish I had been.
Well, we were at that dumb, terrible movie.
Considering the movie that we saw.
It was
What'd you
not
see
good.
yesterday?
I can't say.
We can't say it. When are we allowed to say?
The day before it opens.
Yeah, we're allowed to say the day before it opens. Yeah. It's not good though.
What is it?
It's
so
bad.
Curious. Well, we'll find out.
You'll find
Tell
out.
me it's not Creed. Tell me it's not
Creed. It's not Creed.
Okay.
And you've already done Fantastic Beasts 2.
Yeah.
It comes out in the next month.
Yes.
Okay. It's not
I loved
Widows.
Instant Family, and it's not that. It's
We're not going to tell you if you guess
can't
it.
tell,
So don't
yeah.
even try.
Wreck-It Ralph.
But
We already reviewed Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay.
that's what we were. No, Wreck-It Ralph was great.
Yeah, I thought it was good,
loved it. Okay, so we will have a deep dive spoiler discussion on Fantastic Beasts this weekend. You should check that out. Thank you guys for being with us today and every day. Thank you for your support. In all sincerity, you allow us to lead amazing lives, and I appreciate it, and Spencer does too, and so does Dan, and so does Roxy. I'll just speak for you guys. You want to speak for yourself?
You can speak for me on that one. for
After
sure.
us, you are the real heroes.
But after us.
But only after us.
Is that clear?
Like, we do want to emphasize
It's like
that.
first
we just want to
responders,
underscore
us,
that.
and our audience.
Right.
And fine, Dan's at the top of that list, but
And
then
then
the three of us
way
are
down
there too.
after that, we're getting to the people that I was talking about,
Yeah.
the teachers and the
Yes,
guards. Yeah,
yes,
like
big gap.
we just want to.
Dan won't even play along.
Come on, we're just joshing.
weekend.
Dan, you're the hero. Be the hero.
Obviously, we suck. Come on.
That's the joke. That's a quote from The Simpsons.
Yes, it is.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.